Hello, welcome to today's video. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and if you're not, I hope this video can bring you a little bit of comfort. One thing that y'all may not know about me is that I'm obsessed with Hamilton, and I actually heard the song Burn way before I even knew what Hamilton was, and then I had to listen to The Room Where It Happened for a school project, and that night I watched Hamilton with my family, and I absolutely loved it. And ever since, it has become a personality trait of mine. My friends get annoyed by it, but it's so great though. There's so much meaning behind the story, and this is like one of the only musicals I really know, but I'm obsessed. And I've been wanting to make videos like this where I get songs, movies, books, TV shows, and I analyze it and I break it down because I think it's so satisfying. I will never be satisfied. Yeah, that's another issue. I break out into random singing at any time, and Hamilton is like one of the songs that, like, if someone says, take a break, like, it's the song I'm always singing whenever I break out into a song. If that makes sense. Anyway, I'm really excited for this video because I've always been wanting to analyze just different pieces of fiction to break it down and see the different layers and symbolisms and what the author may have intended, because any creator who makes things choose the specific order, the specific pattern, and how things are said and done. Like, they choose everything on how the piece is created. So a lot of things in like artwork or in books, there's meaning behind it. And in music, like in Hamilton's, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who created Hamilton, took his time and wrote all these songs. And so I believe that there's meaning behind every word and who's singing which part and how the music is flowing behind each lyric. And I wanted to share my thoughts with y'all and how when I sing these songs in the car to myself, this is how my brain is breaking it apart all the time. And I need to get it out of my brain, and hopefully someone out there will enjoy it as much as I do. So let's get started with the video. How does a bastard orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean by providence, impoverished and squalor, grow up to be a hero and a scholar. So if you don't know, the creator of Hamilton is Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he's from Puerto Rico, and he's a big activist for minority rights, women's rights, immigrant rights, things like that. If you just watch any interview he's in, he's such a genuine person and he's so talented. You probably have heard a lot of his music before. He made a lot of the music for Moana, and he made the music for Encanto, and he's just a genius. He also wrote a poetry book that I really want to read. He wrote Hamilton because he says Alexander Hamilton was one of the first immigrants to America before America was even really a country. And this is like the first American dream story, if you think of it, an immigrant coming up from the bottom. And that's why he was so interested in Hamilton. After reading a biography, which is what this whole musical is based off of, is a biography of Hamilton, and that was his main inspiration. Now, going into the actual lyrics and who's singing them, we start off with Leslie Odom Jr., so that's the actor's name, and he plays Aaron Burr for both the first and second act of the musical. Aaron Burr is basically someone who starts off as Hamilton's friend and later on becomes his enemy. His political enemy, I should say. Enemy, political enemy. At this time, they were kind of the same thing. But it's such a strong start where this song is quite literally called Alexander Hamilton to the Hamilton musical, and yet you have his enemy starting it out, and instead of using great words, positive adjectives to describe Hamilton, he uses words with negative connotations like bastard, orphan, son of a whore, all these heavy words, and almost every other time he addresses Hamilton, he uses these words repeatedly throughout the whole musical. And I think it's really iconic. I think it's really smart to have it start off this way by this biased point of view, and how this whole song is talking about Hamilton's life before he got to America and how he got there, and yet it's mainly being told by all the other actors and actresses and all the other performers. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who actually plays Alexander Hamilton, only has 4 lines that he repeats 2 times in this whole song. And I think this really symbolizes how Alexander Hamilton's life story was really carried on and told by the people around him versus himself. Even though he worked so hard to leave a legacy, most of his legacy is remembered because of the people around him. This is one of my favorite songs in the whole musical because the rhyming in this song just hits so hard. You have internal rhyme in the song with Scotsman, forgot, and spot, and then you have squalor, grow up to be a hero and a scholar. There's a lot of tuneness there, and just the rhyme scheme of it. It's satisfying to sing, especially when you're in the car by yourself. The $10 founding father without a father got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. By 14, they placed him in charge of a trading charter. So this whole part is sang by Anthony Ramos, who plays John Lawrence in Act 1 and then Philip Hamilton in Act 2. John Lawrence was one of Hamilton's first friends when he came to the States, and then Philip Hamilton is Hamilton's son. This is probably my favorite part in this whole song because the parallel structure with the rhymes just build on each other so well. And then if you look at the words that are rhyming, you have dollar, father, father, farther, harder, smarter, starter, charter. All of these words are adjectives with the ER, well, not all of them, but like harder, smarter, and starter, they're all adjectives with ER at the end. And if you add ER to anything, it increases it, or it means there's more of it, which I think is genius in this situation because not only is this rhyme scheme and parallel structure building on each other, but the words he's using are literally building words to show that he's continually to rise and increase, if that makes sense. And then going back to the words building on them, you get to a point where you're like, wow, this keeps going. Founding father without a father got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. By 14, right there you finally think, oh, this rhyme scheme is done. Like, it's almost like you get a break. Then it goes, they place him in charge of a trading charter, and then it just like keeps going for one more dig, like one more rhyme in there. And I think this really symbolizes Hamilton really well, how he keeps climbing and climbing and gaining notoriety, and then there comes a point where you're like, okay, is he done? And then he keeps going. Like, there's a whole song called Non-Stop in the play, how he just continually rises. Like, you can't really stop him. And that part right there, a founding father without a father, is being sung by the actor who plays his son in the musical. Talk about how he was a founding father without a father. I thought that was really good. And every day while slaves were being slaughtered and carted away across the waves, he struggled and kept his guard up. Inside he was longing for something to be a part of. The brother was ready to beg, steal, borrow, or barter. This part of the song is being sung by David Diggs. He plays Marquis de Lafayette in the first act, and then he plays Thomas Jefferson in the second act, which is really fun polar characters, as Lafayette is Hamilton's friend in the first act, and then Jefferson is also one of Hamilton's political enemies in the second act. And again, the rhyme scheme here with every day slaves were carted away across the waves. You have day, away, waves. The rhyme scheme is just really satisfying here too. And then I think it's really funny that he's talking about how Hamilton seeing slavery and was against it, considering the fact that the actor who's singing it plays Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner, had many slaves, had children with his slaves. Thomas Jefferson was a big slave supporter. He also plays an immigrant too. Lafayette and Hamilton are the only two in the musical that are immigrants, or at least noted to be immigrants, and he's the one singing the part of Hamilton seeing this slavery and not liking it. And then it's also just ironic how he also plays Jefferson, who was a big slave owner. And a hurricane came and Devastation reigned. A man saw his future drip, dripping down the drain. Put a pencil to his temple, connected it to his brain, and he wrote his first refrain, a testament to his pain. So I planned out and scripted out how I was going to explain this, right? So it could at least be coherent in some form and fashion. And I was looking up this actor's name. So I can't pronounce his name, but I'm just going to call him Oak. He plays as Hercules Mulligan in Act 1 and then James Madison in Act 2. Similarly to Daveed Diggs, he is a character who plays both a friend to Hamilton in the first act as Hercules Mulligan, and then plays a political enemy to Hamilton in the second act as James Madison. And there's not much to break down with this. I feel like his verse is pretty straightforward. I personally couldn't find any connection between the actor singing it and his part in the musical and then the words he was saying. But for the most part, the rhyme here is really good too, with hurricane came, devastation reigned, dripping down the drain, connected it to his brain, wrote his first refrain, a testament to his pain, all the ains. That, the rhyme scheme here is just really, really genius. Well, the word got around, they said this kid is insane, man. Took up a collection just to send him to the mainland. Get your education, don't forget from whence you came, and the world's gonna know your name. What's your name, man? Now we're back to Aaron Burr, and it's really funny, especially if you've watched the musical, seeing how he is introducing Hamilton, because at many times in the musical, which also happened in history, Hamilton was always kind of overstepping Burr and outshining Burr in many times, and Burr was kind of just like the one holding the door open for him while he was on his way out. And I thought, I just like it. I don't know. I thought this was genius. And then this part in the song, he just says, don't forget from where you came. The people, the Caribbeans, the people where Hamilton is from, is helping him but get enough money to go to America, and they tell him, don't forget from where you came. And I don't know if this is like an actual thing you can find on a written document, or if it was almost like Lynn's way of telling people who are from immigrant families that it is important to hold on to your culture and don't forget from where you came, because that's a part of your culture, it's part of your family's culture, your ancestry. And I think that's a really beautiful message in of itself. Or even if you just start from the bottom and you grow to the top, it's always important from where you came, even if you're just someone who's from America or from wherever, and then you just get to a different point in your life later on. It's always good to remember your roots. Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait, just you wait. At this point in the song, we're officially 1 minute and 19 seconds in. We are a third of the way through, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, playing Alexander Hamilton, finally speaks and is finally seen performing on stage. How iconic is that? That's crazy. And this is a 3 to 4 minute song, and these are the only 3 phrases that he will ever say for the rest of the song. Alexander Hamilton, there's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait. And I think it's really amazing how Hamilton is finally seen, and the first and only thing he says for the rest of his opening song is just you wait for all the amazing things I plan on doing. And this is a complete foil to Aaron Burr, where Aaron Burr has a song later on called Wait For It, and the whole song is about how he is waiting for great things to happen to him, because he's like, I've had so many expectations held to me, I know great things are going to happen to me. Whereas you have Alexander Hamilton coming up, and he's like, there's a million things I haven't done yet, so just you wait until I get them done. So just you wait, because I will get them done. This is their main tug of war for the rest of the musical, is the fact that Hamilton takes and continues striving to grow, whereas Aaron Burr is kind of just stagnant and is waiting for great things to happen to him. And I watched a YouTube short on someone explaining how even their musical elements reflect this too. How in Aaron Burr's song Wait For It, the melody kind of just stays within the same chord and doesn't really go anywhere, whereas Hamilton's song, which is later on in the musical, called My Shot, and he says how he's going to rise up. The melody or the beats are continuously rising up in the chord. The music is reflecting their character counterparts very well. When he was 10, his father split, full of it, debt-ridden. 2 years later, see Alex and his mother bedridden, half dead, sin in their own sick, the scent thick, and Alex got better, but his mother went quick. Now we are finally introduced to Philippa Sue, who plays Eliza Schuyler in both the first and second act of the musical, which, if you don't know, she later on becomes Hamilton's wife. And I like how it is Eliza Schuyler singing this part about Hamilton's mother, considering that she marries Hamilton and is the mother of his kids. And the rhyming here is also 10 out of 10 words. His father split, full of it, debt-ridden, bedridden, sick, thick, quick. All of it was great. And then whenever you're listening to the actual soundtrack, or if you're watching the musical on Disney Plus, here the whole crew starts whispering, and Alex got better, but his mother went quick. And the fact that the whole crew is whispering how his mother went quick gives me chills. It really just illustrates the idea that his mother just went quietly in the middle of the night. Oh, it's so good. Gives me goosebumps. Moved in with the cousin committed suicide. Left him with nothing but ruin, pride, something new inside. A voice saying, Alex, you gotta fend for yourself. He started retreating and reading every treatise on the shelf. And here we are introduced to Christopher Jackson, who plays George Washington in both the first and second act of the musical. I really couldn't find any connection between George Washington singing this part of Hamilton's story. Just want to point out some rhyme schemes here where it's moved in with a cousin, left him with nothing. He started retreating and reading. And then you have committed suicide, ruin, pride, something new inside. Alex, you gotta fend for yourself. Reading every treatise on the shelf. Like those, it's like you have multiple rhymes happening within the rhymes. Like, that's genius. Here I thought it was just so powerful how at this point in Hamilton's life, everyone he has ever known or loved has died or left him. And instead of wallowing in it, he knows the only way for him to grow, thrive, and succeed is by reading and by getting an education, because you truly have so much power when you just know. When you just know things. And anytime, like, anyone ever, like, is like, oh, well, school sucks, whatever, and questions that, I always think to how back in slavery time, they never taught their slaves to read, because then if slaves knew how to read, they could be able to read the Bible and figure out that slavery was actually wrong. Whereas when they couldn't read, they would lie to them and say that, oh, well, you're meant to be a slave, you're born this way. And it's truly how, if you are knowledgeable on things, you genuinely have the benefit and the leg up, or how it's so important for Americans to know their rights, especially whenever they're dealing in legal proceedings or with police officers. Just knowing your rights is so powerful. Ugh. And then here, like, this is another story of someone who just got an education, and just the power of knowledge is unfathomable. There would have been nothing left to do for someone less astute. He would have been dead or destitute without a cent of restitution. Started working, clerking for his late mother's landlord, trading sugar, cane and rum and all the things he can't afford, scamming for every book he can get his hands on, planning for the future. See him now as he stands on the bow of a ship, heading for a new land. In New York, you can be a new man. So here we are back to Aaron Burr singing about Hamilton, of course, for the third time right now. In the rhyme scheme, someone less astute, he would have been dead or destitute. with that ascent of restitution. Then you have working, clerking, trading, scamming, planning, all rhyming. You have his late mother's landlord, all the things he can't afford, and see him now as he stands on the bow of the ship. It's just so well written and well performed too. And here, this was just a little thing in how it says trading sugar cane and rum and all the things he can't afford. So here you have Hamilton working from the bottom up. He's working, he's trading things, and he's working for people who are wealthier than him, who can afford these luxuries that he is working so hard to just be able to get by. And that's just such like a power dynamic. But he's doing all this just to get to America. I think it's just great. In New York, you can be a new man. Just you wait. Alexander Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, we are waiting in the wings for you. You can never back down, you never learn to take your time. Alexander Hamilton, when America sings for you, will they know what you overcame? Will they know you rewrote the game? The world will never be the same. Here you have the whole ensemble singing, performing, not one specific person, but again, the rhyming with will they know what you overcame? Will they know you rewrote your game? The world will never be the same. And it's true. After this musical, when it says, when America sings for you, will they know what you overcame? So I think this is kind of like hinting at when this musical comes out and people are singing and performing it, will they finally know your story? Oh, the world will never be the same. And it's true. And the craziest thing about this show, about Hamilton, is if you watch the video of Lin-Manuel Miranda when he was invited to the White House for a poetry night with Barack Obama, and it was 2009, I believe, and he performed this song for them, people laughed at him when he got to a part where he's like, I'm Alexander Hamilton. People laughed at him, and then years later he finally finished the musical and then was invited back to the White House with the original cast to perform that same song. That right there already reflects Hamilton, like, starting from a place where you're at the bottom, you're laughed at, you're, like, nothing special, and then you become this high-achieving success where now people just look at you in awe. When life reflects art, what is it? When art, does life reflect art, or does art reflect life? And then a little thing with how, will they know you rewrote your game? He quite literally wrote his way up into being the success he is. He's known for his writing skills. As long as he has a pen, he is a host unto himself. No one can really stop him because he was such a powerful mind at the time and great writer at the time. And he was quoted multiple times in the musical for the different worlds and narratives that he's constantly building and erasing in his mind that no one else, not even his wife, could have understood. Like, can we talk about the fact he was the founding father? He signed the Constitution. And it's sad talking to my history teacher, and I was like, oh, was Hamilton like ever really talked of before the musical? And she said no. They didn't really teach about Hamilton until the musical got out. Like, that's crazy. This man is on our $10 bill for crying out loud. And then it also says the world will never be the same. America, with our economy, wouldn't be how we are today. And our foreign policies, I feel like, would be very different if it wasn't for Hamilton too. Hamilton was a part of the Federalists who were against going into the French Revolution. But imagine what would have happened if we did intervene. Imagine where the world, like, that's just one little thing in our world history that if anything changed about it, we may not be where we are today. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And so the fact that he was a big person, he was a big supporter for not going into the French Revolution and not aiding them, the world will literally never be the same because of his impacts. Where, let me say real quick, I did research it, or quick Google search it. He did support revolutions and fighting for freedoms. He didn't support the reign of terror that came with it afterward and the mob rule that came afterward, which I learned about that in world history, and it was really bad. The reign of terror, it just wasn't good. So it's understandable. The ship is in the harbor now, see if you can spot him. Another immigrant coming up from the bottom. His enemies destroyed his rep, America forgot him. Rhyme scheme, see if you can spot him. Coming up from the bottom, America forgot him. The rhyming is just bellissimo. And again, his enemies destroyed his reputation, basically. Which his enemies at the time were Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and Aaron Burr, I guess. But after Aaron Burr killed Hamilton, his reputation was out the window too. So I don't know if I would consider him as like one of the powerful enemies that destroyed Hamilton's reputation, but for sure Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were two big people against him. And I don't know if they are genuinely the reason on why Hamilton isn't remembered as he should be or wasn't remembered as he should be. We fought with him. These next few lines are my favorite part in the whole musical. Okay, not the whole musical, but in this whole song. So it says, we fought with him. So again, this is performed by Daveed Diggs, who plays Marquis Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson. And then you have Oak, who plays Hercules Mulligan and James Madison. And so, first act, Lafayette and Hercules Mulligan fought with Hamilton in the Revolution. Okay. And then in the second act, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison fought with Hamilton on the Constitution and whether or not there should be a Bill of Rights. Like, the duality. Again, me trying to push the word duality and never knowing if it's a word is phenomenal. Me, I died for him. Anthony Ramos, who again plays John Lawrence in the first act and Philip Hamilton in the second act. In the first act, John Lawrence died during the war when he was fighting with Hamilton. And then in the second act, you see Philip Hamilton go into a duel because a man insulted his father's honor. And then this is where Philip Hamilton died. So he says, me, I died for him. He literally died for Hamilton in both the first and second act. Me, I trusted him. Back to Christopher Jackson, who plays George Washington in both the first and second act. Just pretty straightforward. Nothing too special about it, honestly. It's just Hamilton was George Washington's right-hand man, so he was like, me, I trusted him. Me, I loved him. This part is sang by 3 people. Let's go through them real quick. You have Philippa Sue, who I already mentioned earlier. She plays Eliza Schuyler in both the first and second act. You have Renee Elise Goldsberry, who plays Angelica Schuyler in both the first and second act. And then you have Jasmine Cephas Jones, I think that's how you pronounce it. She plays Peggy Schuyler in the first act, and then Mariah Reynolds in the second act. So this is the first time we are seeing Renee and the first time we are seeing Jasmine in this song, but they've been singing ensemble and background for the beginning of the song. So you have 3 women singing this part. Let me just make this connection real quick. Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy, they're all the Schuyler sisters. There's a whole song about it. Angelica's the oldest, Eliza's the middle child, and Peggy is the youngest. So it's obvious why Eliza Schuyler, why she loved Hamilton. They were husband and wife. And Angelica Schuyler, being the oldest, in the musical has it as if she also had a thing for Hamilton, like she was interested in him, but she gave him up so he could be with Eliza. Of course, this is not historically accurate. She was actually married before she even met Hamilton, and I don't think she showed any interest in him. And then Peggy in the musical, Peggy and Hamilton don't have any connections at all. However, in real life, they were actually really close to each other. It turns out, I think he was there on her deathbed when she died. They had a really strong friendship. And I have a book right here called Hamilton and Peggy, and it's all about their relationship. Haven't read it yet. Peggy's character is played by Jasmine Cephas Jones, And Jasmine here isn't singing as Peggy, or at least I don't believe she is. She's more so singing as Mariah Reynolds, who's her other character that she plays in the second act. Mariah Reynolds is a woman who basically seduced Hamilton, and with her husband's help, they both coerce Hamilton into paying them money so Hamilton can continue seeing Mariah Reynolds, and he basically had an affair on Eliza. And so here, these three women in the musical, Angelica, who was interested in him, Eliza, who is his wife, and Mariah Reynolds, who seduced him, all singing, "Me, I loved him." And me, I'm the dang fool that shot him. And obviously we are now back to Aaron Burr, who killed Hamilton. Shot and killed him in a duel. And I like the idea that this whole song or this whole musical, it's as if they know they are just retelling a part of history, so they're kind of knowing on where they're going to end up by the end of it. And so Aaron Burr is calling himself a fool for the fact of knowing the price that he paid for killing Hamilton. And at the end of the song, "And the world was wide enough for both of us," Aaron Burr goes on to say how history obliterates, and every picture it paints him and all his mistakes. So basically, even though Hamilton died, he was the one who paid the price, and now he's seen as this villain to the rest of history. Whether or not that's well deserved is questionable. In the musical, I will say, it did pull on my heartstrings a bit to care for Aaron Burr a bit more. There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait. What's your name, man? Alexander Hamilton. And here you have Lin-Manuel Miranda singing again as Hamilton in one of the 3 lines I already said earlier that he's ever gonna sing. So I like how he comes in a third of the way, says this, and then at the end of it, he's saying, "Just you wait," one more time, just to remind you that he's gonna do great things. And I thought this was a great way to end the intro song to the musical, because it's almost as if not only is Hamilton telling everyone around him, "Just you wait," but it's Lin-Manuel Miranda and all the other actors and performers telling the audience, "Just you wait for all the amazing things that's going to come with this show," because it is very entertaining. Hate on Hamilton all you want. It is a very entertaining musical. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I had fun making this. I did script out points I wanted to hit, but I was really just having fun because I've always wanted to make videos like this analyzing Hamilton songs. I also want to analyze Surface Pressure from Encanto, and I would love to analyze books and movies. So if you have any of those that you'd want to see me tear apart, break down, or fangirl over like I did with this song, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day today. Oh my gosh, I swear my bookshelf is literally going to fall on me one day. Please don't. Then a hurricane came and devastation reigned. Well, the word got around that said this kid is insane. It's like the creator planned it and wrote it. Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait. Just you wait. Whew, getting a little toasty in here. Okay. If you can't tell, I just just get an education. Don't forget from where you came. The ship is in the harbor now, see if you can spot him. Another immigrant coming up from the bottom. His enemies destroyed his rep, America forgot him. These connections can only be made after being obsessed with it for as long as I have. Is the Bloopers gonna see this? Maybe. I don't know. If I can go a video without sticking my tongue out, I think that's a success. Okay, I failed. We'll try this again next video. Bye!